Joe Budden sends a major warning to his co-host.
And we got long work days ahead. Long work days ahead. Some of y'all are speaking for less than 3 minutes per pod. Whoa. Some of y'all are speaking for less than 2 minutes per pod.
Really?
And we'll address it all at the end of everyone's turn.
That's right, y'all. On the last episode of the Joe Budden Podcast, Joe let them know that their half-stepping ways are numbered. He basically told them that, hey, man, you better start podcasting because these, leaving early, these other things where you come in here not doing your job is a thing of the past. For those of you that don't know, Joe Budden has been under attack from his fans, well, specifically the fans on Twitter, who have been noticing that the podcast this summer has been a little lackluster. Things kind of boiled to the top when Joe Budden would have an episode where he would leave early and the rest of the cast would do a show without him. Many fans of the pod thought that episode was trash and they did not like it. So, Joe Budden would come back a little bit later with another episode and warn his cast that he was not digging the energy. And on top of that, he even went into this bit about he's been looking at how much people are speaking in terms of, the word counts. And I wonder if this was a subtle dig at none other than Melissa Ford. For those of you that don't know, Melissa Ford seems to have thrown all of her entertainment abilities outside of the window. For the most part, it looks like most of the traction that she gains comes from her previous existing celebrity as opposed to her skills on the mic. When's the last time Melissa Ford said anything of value? That's something we need to examine. Now, to cut Melissa Ford some bail, in this episode with Mark Lamont Hill, it appears as if she unlocked a more entertaining side of her without Ish around, that is, as Mark Lamont Hill was there to bolster her whenever she was about to get dogpiled on. Still, Melissa Ford is severely lacking in a lot of departments, and I maintain that she just isn't interesting anymore, and that's largely because she's trying to protect a non-existent brand. In my last video, a lot of people were saying Melissa Ford has a brand. Danny, how could you say that? Well, if she does have a brand, it's not in any way attached to her abilities as a podcaster. But still, what changes could Joe Budden be alluding to? When he says changes, my guess is he means that he's going to be doing more Patreon episodes. He might be having more guests. And if people are half-stepping, you're going to see the return of the moody Potter known as Joe Budden. That's right. A lot of you know who watch the show that when Joe Budden's irritated with the status or the way the show is going, he'll start to increase passive-aggressive comments, also bring in more guest hosts, and do Patreon episodes without the knowledge of other people. This is kind of the textbook stuff that I've been noticing over the years. Whenever Joe is not getting what he wants, he will make tweaks, changes, and bring some people in. And that's kind of what he did last year. Remember when he brought them Star Tender chicks, Tad Up Hottie, Mo, where's Mo? And was doing episodes with them here and there and not informing Ish. Not that he has to inform Ish, but my thing is if people aren't performing well, then Joe's going to seek to iterate and make some changes. Another thing Joe said this episode was, Park's one-liners are cool, but when you break down the amount of words said per episode, that you can kind of see that he doesn't really talk much. I don't even think Joe really cares about that. I think that was just a gateway for him to talk about how people are not talking. I think that was more of a dog whistle to get the other people on the pod concerned who aren't speaking as much. And I think that dog whistle was specifically tailored to Melissa Ford. Melissa Ford has just been pretty bad. And I think even Flip said recently that Melissa Ford is going through something. I don't know if it's something severe. I know she's been on Twitter sounding real emo. Sometimes as content creators, you just don't have it. And especially on that pod where it takes a lot of energy, a lot of self-starter to be around Joe and Flip. I couldn't imagine working with those dudes. I think it would be really difficult to match their energy all the time. a lot of random tangents and different types of learning styles. So I kind of understand Melissa Ford, but a couple years into the Melissa Ford experiment, and she hasn't established herself. What are the Melissa Ford moments of the Joe Budden podcast? It's either her, getting cursed out by Ish, or her making some crazy statement that pisses everybody off, i.e. Cameron and Eddie Griffin. She's just having a tough time, and I think for the most part, it's just like, at some point, you're going to have to do something. I think the only reason Joe puts up with it is because Melissa Ford, he remembers the Melissa Ford that she used to be. The Melissa Ford that Joe really, really liked. And you know what I mean by liked. The trophy pot. She's a trophy potter. I know that sounds insulting, but imagine if you're Joe, right? Back in the day, you were a middling rapper. I don't want to hear it from you damn Joe Budden fans, but Melissa Ford wasn't answering your call. If you wanted her to be in the Fire video, she would have laughed at you. But 20 years later, you have a poppin' podcast, the best in the world, some say, and you could get her on because she needs a steady paycheck. So you put her on the podcast, and while she's not great, she's still Melissa Ford. You still see that 20-year-old girl who used to light up any set that she walked up on. And now she lights up your podcast with her looks, but not necessarily her performance. Now, I know some people are going to say, Danny, why are you being so mean? Melissa Ford ain't the reason the podcast is doing bad. Yes, that's true, but she just doesn't have it. I mean, Ice is trying, Parks is Parks, and Joe is Joe. I think that, yes, Melissa Ford has to do her part. It's just everybody on the show has had a run but her. And that's something that is just facts. All right, y'all, let me know what you think about that subject. What do you feel about Joe sending that stern warning of, hey, man, this loose ship we're running, it's about to tighten up. And we all know August, it's the end of summer. September, October, November, December, this is fourth quarter. You got to get the money up. Christmas time, Thanksgiving. You got to buy your girl some Louis Vuitton, some Hermes. I'm not talking about myself. I'm talking about Joe. This girl come over. She going to be expecting a little nice bag here or there. Something that costs $15K. Maybe more. I don't even know how to do that bag talk. You know me. I stick to the rivers and lakes that I'm used to. I be on that Kate Spade when I'm trying to show out with the girlies. Yeah, all right. You didn't expect that. Shout out to Kate Spade. R.I.P. I do think they make some great bags, if you ask me. Yeah, man. But anyway, I also wanted to end this video by saying, oh, man, I see a lot of people out there talking about me and Shammy's new podcast, saying I'm trying to manipulate a situation, saying this and that. Man, watch me work. A lot of you guys, the distant guys, but I'm here to do the science. And the science is coming. I'm not talking to anybody in particular. It's just a general statement I'm throwing out there. But Stop the King episode 2 will be dropping very shortly. And we also have the episode that I did with Talk FNF that will be dropping in its entirety in a week or so. And after that, we'll do another episode. We'll keep doing episodes of Stop the King and so on and so forth. With that said, follow me on Instagram to Stop TV. Follow me on Twitter to Stop TV. Follow me on Reddit where I mod for a sub called Joe Budden Network. That's fastly approaching 20,000. 20,000, man. We about to get there. And if you want to get on my Discord, let me know in the comments. I'll give you an invite. All right, y'all. Make sure your next move is your best move. This is Danny from the Stop. Peace.